What's going on, everyone? So, the Brooklyn Nets could be a destination for the Lakers to just solve their center position, right? Obviously, they have Nick Claxton, who has multiple years left on his deal, as well as they have Dayron Sharpe, who the Lakers were linked to. Also, there was an argument to be made that the Lakers should have gotten him instead of Shake Milton in the Brooklyn trade when they got Dorian Finney-Smith. But fast forward, you ended up getting Mark Williams. But even then, at that time, was Mark Williams really in the picture? Probably not, because that was like a month earlier and they were kind of tied up in the Luka thing. You know, Rob Pelinka talked about how like everything kind of got, they kind of had to kind of wait to see what happened with the Luka thing. Because based on the timeline that we know, Luka, at least the conversation starting would have happened around the time that they landed Dorian Finney-Smith. So that might have been a big thing. But nonetheless, the Brooklyn Nets have several positions of need that could solve it, right? Like they could help our wing with Cam Johnson, right? They could help our center position with Nick Claxton and Dayron Sharpe. But I want to stick to the center spot and the Brooklyn Nets being a team that could help kind of solve that center spot. Now, obviously, it all boils down to cost. What does it cost in order to acquire these guys? If you have to sell the farm to go get these two, probably look elsewhere. Right? I really like both guys. I really think that would be excellent. Like you'd have your center position essentially locked up for the next 6+ years, right? Like, because Dayron Sharpe and Nick Claxton are both young enough to be foundation centers for the foreseeable future. Dayron Sharpe gives you that big physical interior presence, that just kind of bully ball guy on the inside. He is a little bit undersized, but he has the weight and just the strength behind him to kind of back it up and make up for it. And he's just such a really good rebounder. He's an excellent rebounder, can still block shots, really good at just kind of positioning himself, got a good nose and feel for the basketball. And then Nick Claxton is one of the best defensive centers in all of basketball. I mean, he can not only defend at the rim and block shots, his timing's excellent, but he's really good at defending in space, defending in the pick and roll. He can defend and switch out on the guards and big men, and he's very versatile. He'd give you just what you need at the center position. At that point, your center position is locked up. Obviously, offensively, they're not these like super skilled offensive big men, but I don't think the Lakers really need that, right? It's something that I've kind of reiterated on several occasions that like, I don't think the Lakers need necessarily a Mark Williams or a Miles Turner or anything like that. It would be great. It'd be a nice luxury to have. Talked about kind of be this cherry on top, but I don't think it's something that like you have to go get this super skilled big, right? Like how much opportunity are they going to have? Like, let's say you go and you get a Miles Turner or Mark Williams, right? Bare minimum, they're going to be the fourth option, right? Because you're going to have Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. So how many field goal attempts are they going to get? How much opportunity are they going to get the ball dumped down to them and actually show what they're capable of, right? Lakers just really need interior presence, guys that can rebound, block shots, and, be lob threats. Basically it. And guess what? Dayron Sharpe and Nick Claxton both can do all three of those things. So they're kind of the ideal centers that the Lakers could look for at the center spot that just line up and slot in perfectly for this Lakers team, and in particular Luka. And now again, like I said, you have your kind of two centers for the next handful of years to slot alongside Luka. Now, obviously, if something better comes along or whatever, or maybe Dayron just emerges as the better guy, you can flip-flop them or look trade Claxton later on down the road. Right? It just gives you opposite flexibility, but you kind of solve your center position. But there are kind of some important factors that need to be discussed when you're talking about pulling off a Nets trade for both centers, right? Again, Nick Claxton has multiple years on his deal, right? And we'll touch on him in a moment. But Dayron Sharpe, more than anything, he is a restricted free agent, which means the only way to acquire him would be via sign and trade. Now, it's not a big deal because if you're going to trade for Claxton, then you can just do it all in one swoop. However, a sign and trade would hard cap the Lakers at the second apron. Now, I don't think that that's a big deal. The Lakers are probably not going to operate into the second apron regardless. I mean, LeBron James took the discount last year in order to do that. And you got guys like, worst case scenario, if you had to, you do have a Shake Milton that is on a non-guaranteed, that if you like, say you're like $1 million over or whatever, you could just kind of waive him, clear $3 million, and then sign that 15th guy right before the playoffs, for 100,000 or whatever, right? Basically what you saw with Jordan Goodwin, right? Like kind of work out that route. So not really worried about the Lakers being hard capped. And Dayron Sharpe, how much is he going to make? That's the key though, right? If he wants 15, 20 million, you're probably not doing that, right? You're not going to go now have 40, 50 million tied up in your center and backup center. It's silly. It'd be foolish, right? But if he's like, I want 8 million, maybe he wants a shorter term deal, right? Maybe he wants like kind of a prove it deal type thing, right? Where he's like, hey, I should be a starter, right? Like at some point, you got to imagine he's going to want to move in a starting position. He's 23 years old. He'll be 24 in November. So to start next season, right? So he's a guy that's still incredibly young, has a ton of upside, right? A guy that can be a double-double machine right out the gate, right? But, again, at some point, like how long is he going to want to be a backup for? At some point, he's going to look at it and be like, hey, man, I want to start. I want to play significant minutes. I want to play a big role, right? Which, who would blame him for that? So I could see maybe something where he maybe wants a shorter term deal. Maybe he's looking at, whatever, 2 years, 16 million, or maybe 3 years, whatever, 48 million or something, or I guess, sorry, 24 million, not 48. That'd be a big jump, right? 24 million, right? To where he's getting like 8 million a year for 3 years, and then, kind of gauge where he's at that point. He's 26. Now he can go jump into a new contract, whether it's with the Lakers or another team. And that would also kind of line up with Nick Claxton. So maybe it's one of those things where, Nick Claxton, his contract starts to fall, and then you see Dayron kind of shift in type thing. So that could be an option as well. But again, he's a guy that can come in, slot in, kind of hold down and man the backup center role, be a starter on any given night. And I don't think you really lose a beat, right? Because again, he can still defend at the rim. He gives you good size and interior presence and defense. He's, again, rebounds excellent. I mean, he's basically an 8 and 7 guy. And in limited role minutes, right? Imagine what he is in, a real, like, hey, you're getting 20 minutes a night, right? And so Dayron Sharpe is a guy that I think really would make a ton of sense for the Los Angeles Lakers. Even if they don't get Nick Claxton, I think that there is a real argument to go and trade for Dayron Sharpe if you can, right? If all else fails, right? You never know, like, who becomes available or what ends up happening. But look, I've said the Lakers, in my opinion, need 2 centers. I think the Lakers need not only a backup center, but they need the starting center, right? They need a guy that can come in and give you the starting minutes and kind of anchor the defense and be a big contributor and big piece to this roster. And then I think you need that backup, right? Well, again, a team like the Nets, you also have the most valuable asset according to the Nets. And we know that because we saw how much they valued it last season. And that is expiring contracts. So you could go and trade for Nick Claxton and Dayron Sharpe, and in that process, give them everything that they want in expiring deals. And your argument could be like, hey, both of these guys are going to have multiple years on their deals, right? So let's say you sign, Dayron Sharpe to $8 million a year, right? And he gets that kind of deal. Okay, well then now if you go and you add in a Nick Claxton to the trade, right? It's like, okay, well, we're going to sign, Dayron to 3 years, again, $24 million, right? $8 million a year. And then we're going to have to pay next year $25 million to Nick Claxton, plus another 23, plus another 20. He's got like $70 million in future salary on top of another 20. You're talking $100 million in future salary over the next 3 years, right? That we would have to take on and that we're going to be able to clear for you, right? So, you have that inherent built-in kind of argument and asset that you saw. I mean, it's how the Lakers were able to get Dorian Finney-Smith when Memphis was offering a protected first, right? It's like, why would you go with, because they valued the expiring contract more. So again, it puts the Lakers in really good shape in that regard. But even in Nick Claxton, you look at Nick Claxton, he's 26. He's still young, be a nice core foundation piece, right? He's a little light, which is the big concern with him, right? He's like 215, 220 pounds soaking wet, right? Like, so he's not a guy that's going to be that big interior presence, but on paper, he's exactly what this team needs. Again, a versatile defensive anchor that can be a lob threat. I mean, he's a guy that's he had a down season, but I think part of that was just, his role kind of has diminished with, and they've been playing like Clowney and all these other guys, right? They kind of just been experimenting. They were tanking for the bottom. I just think part of Nick Claxton's decline last year was just circumstantial, right? Where he still was a 10-8 guy, right? I think with the Lakers, bare minimum, he's probably a 12 to 14 point a game and go get you. I think he's a double-double guy with the Lakers. I think he'll get you, 10 rebounds and 12 to 14 points a night. I think Dayron comes in and probably gives you, 10-8 in a backup role. Perfect. That's all you need. Again, you're going to still have Austin Reeves, LeBron James, Luka Doncic, unless, they end up trading Austin Reeves or whatever ends up happening, right? So I just look at this and I just like, if you can land both of them, I think you do it, right? If you can kind of kill two birds with one stone, all in one swoop, in a perfect world, you go get, a Cam Johnson also, and then solve your 3-and-D wing with your Nick Claxton or in your center position with Dayron, Sharpe, and Nick Claxton. That would be just chef kiss, right? But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel with your thoughts? Do you love the idea? Do you hate the idea? Kind of mixed in the middle. However you feel. Either way, I'd love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. If you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.